The truth is, loving an avoidant requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to embrace their unique ways of connecting. You won't find them pouring out their heart in every conversation. But when they do open up, it's often a moment of immense vulnerability. The key here is to recognize that their distance is not a reflection of their feelings, but rather a protective mechanism. By creating space for them to come closer on their own terms, you build a trust that enables them to feel safe in the relationship. This trust is essential in allowing both partners to grow together without either feeling suffocated or abandoned. They need to feel that they can be themselves without judgment or pressure to conform to another person's expectations of how love should be expressed. This doesn't mean you have to give up your own needs for closeness or affection, but ladies and gentlemen, today we're diving into one of the most misunderstood topics in relationships: loving someone with an avoidant attachment style. Avoidant attachment style. This kind of love can be both incredibly rewarding and challenging. But here's the truth. Avoiding emotions doesn't mean they're not feeling deeply. It simply means they express it differently. Today, we'll explore how to recognize and understand that love, when it's hidden behind walls, and how to create a space where both partners can thrive. Loving someone with an avoidant attachment style isn't just about navigating their boundaries. It's about embracing a deeper understanding of love itself. As we've seen, an avoidance approach to relationships is shaped by their need for independence, personal space, and a fear of losing themselves in another person. Their love is not defined by outward expressions or grand declarations, but by subtle, often practical gestures that show they care. They may pull away when intimacy feels too overwhelming, but that doesn't mean they don't deeply value the connection. It simply means they express their love in ways that are less obvious to those who are used to more traditional displays. It does mean creating a space where both of you can be authentic. You'll need to find balance, giving them room when they need it, while also communicating your needs clearly and kindly. Over time, this mutual respect fosters an environment where both partners can feel secure in showing up as they are without fear of rejection or overwhelm. It's also important to recognize that the dance of distance and closeness is natural for an avoidant. This back and forth might feel confusing at times, but it's part of how they process emotions and intimacy. As someone who loves them, it's vital not to take these moments of withdrawal personally. Instead, see them as opportunities to reassure them of your love and your willingness to give them the time and space they need. The more you can approach these moments with patience and understanding, the more they will feel comfortable opening up, knowing they won't be pressured or rushed. Ultimately, loving an avoidant is about learning to love on their terms. It's about recognizing that their love is just as real and meaningful as anyone else's, even if it's not always expressed in ways you might expect. The journey of loving an avoidant can be deeply rewarding if you approach it with empathy, trust, and an open heart. By creating a safe, supportive environment where both partners can thrive, you build a foundation that allows for true emotional intimacy. It may take time and effort, but the reward is a partnership where both people feel seen, understood, and loved for who they truly are. This is the kind of love that endures and grows stronger with each passing day, creating a bond that can withstand life's challenges and flourish in the spaces of mutual respect and care. Loving someone with an avoidant attachment style is an incredibly rewarding journey, but it requires patience and a deep understanding of how they express their emotions. As we've discussed, avoidants may not always show their love in traditional ways, like with constant words of affirmation or physical closeness. Instead, their love often takes the form of subtle, meaningful actions. They may show you they care by ensuring your needs are met or by creating a stable environment for you. Their love is often quieter, but no less powerful. It's in their consistency, their reliability, and their quiet gestures of care. Understanding this is key to not only accepting their love, but also learning how to love them in return. For someone in a relationship with an avoidant, it's essential to recognize that the push and pull dynamic is not about rejection or lack of affection. Rather, it's part of their process of balancing closeness with the need for independence. This dynamic can be confusing, but it's important not to take it personally. When they pull away, it's not because they don't care. They're simply trying to protect themselves from feeling overwhelmed by too much closeness. As a partner, the more you can give them the space they need without withdrawing emotionally yourself, the more you create an environment of safety and trust, allowing them to feel comfortable returning when they're ready. Trust, however, does not come easily in these relationships. For an avoidant, trusting someone enough to be vulnerable takes time. They've likely been hurt in the past or have learned that intimacy can lead to loss or pain, so they tread carefully when it comes to emotional exposure. Therefore, if you're loving an avoidant, patience is essential. Building trust is a slow process, and it requires you to remain steady, consistent, and emotionally available without pushing them to open up too quickly. Over time, as they feel more secure in the relationship, they'll begin to show more of themselves. Creating an environment where both partners feel emotionally safe is the foundation of any relationship, but it's especially important with avoidance. They need to feel that they can exist in the relationship without having to compromise their independence or face emotional pressure. By respecting their boundaries and providing a non-judgmental space where they can express themselves on their own terms, you allow them to open up at their own pace. When an avoidant feels safe, they'll be more likely to let down their guard and show you a deeper side of themselves that they may otherwise keep hidden. Ultimately, loving an avoidant is about recognizing that their way of expressing love is just as valid as any other. It's not about trying to change them or expecting them to be someone they're not, but rather about learning to understand them and meeting them where they are. The more you can appreciate the subtleties in their expression of love and remain patient through the moments of distance, the stronger your connection will become. With time, the trust you build together will lay the foundation for a deep, enduring relationship where both partners feel loved, understood, and respected for who they truly are. Oh. This is the kind of love that transcends surface-level gestures and builds a lasting bond based on mutual respect and emotional safety. Loving someone with an avoidant attachment style requires a deep understanding of the complexity of their emotions and behaviors. They may not express their affection in the way you might expect, through constant words of love or overt physical closeness. Instead, their love often manifests in subtle actions that may seem small to others, but are deeply meaningful. They may show their care through practical support, ensuring you're comfortable, or by making life easier for you in ways they find natural. Recognizing these acts for what they are, expressions of love, allows you to see the depth of their feelings, even when they don't express them in traditional ways. Their love is not diminished by its quiet nature. In fact, it can be even more profound because it's often rooted in actions that reflect their care without overwhelming them. The dynamic between closeness and distance in relationships with avoidance can be challenging to navigate. At times, they may retreat, needing space to process their feelings or recharge, which can leave you feeling confused or rejected. However, it's important to realize that this withdrawal is not a sign of a lack of affection. It's part of their coping mechanism to prevent feeling overwhelmed. In these moments, your ability to provide emotional space while also maintaining your own emotional connection is crucial. Rather than pulling away in response, offering gentle support without pressure creates the safety they need to come back when they're ready. Understanding that their distancing is about self-preservation, not about rejecting you, will help you navigate this pattern with empathy and patience. Building trust with an avoidant partner is a gradual process that requires consistent effort. For them, vulnerability feels like a risk, one that may have been painful in the past. They have learned to protect themselves emotionally to avoid being hurt. Therefore, when you're loving someone with an avoidant attachment style, you need to be patient as trust slowly builds over time. The more consistently you show up for them in a non-pressuring way, the more likely they are to open up. It's not about rushing them into vulnerability, but rather creating an environment where they feel safe enough to let their guard down. Safe enough to let their guard down. The patience you show as they open up on their own terms is a key element in building a strong, lasting connection. A safe emotional environment is absolutely essential when you're loving and avoidant. They need to feel secure enough to be themselves without fear of judgment or being overwhelmed by emotional demands. This means giving them the space to exist in the relationship while respecting their need for independence and autonomy. In turn, you should communicate your own needs in a clear and non-pressuring way, ensuring they understand that you also need emotional connection, just in ways that are comfortable for both of you. When both partners feel safe and respected, an avoidant is more likely to feel secure enough to lean in and engage more deeply. This mutual respect creates a foundation that allows both partners to thrive. Ultimately, loving someone with an avoidant attachment style is about learning to love in a way that respects both your needs and theirs. It's not about changing them or expecting them to conform to how you think love should be expressed. Instead, it's about creating a relationship where both partners can be true to themselves while building a deeper, more meaningful connection. Understanding the avoidance need for space, offering consistent emotional support, and allowing trust to grow over time creates an environment in which both partners can feel safe to love freely and authentically. Authentically. This type of love is patient, deeply rooted, and resilient. A love that doesn't rely on grand gestures, but on consistent, mutual care and respect. Loving someone with an avoidant attachment style may not always be easy, but it can lead to a deeply rewarding and resilient relationship if approached with understanding and patience. Patience. One of the key challenges in such relationships is recognizing that avoidants don't always express their love in the way that's typically expected through frequent words of affection or constant physical. Instead, their love is often shown through actions that demonstrate care in practical ways. Whether that's taking care of responsibilities, offering support in subtle ways, or simply providing stability. These actions may feel understated or even go unnoticed at times, but they are meaningful expressions of love. By learning to recognize these subtle signs, you can begin to understand how much they truly care, even when it's not always loudly spoken or overtly displayed. The emotional push-pull that often defines relationships with avoidance can sometimes be difficult to manage, especially when you're left wondering whether they still love you during moments of distance. But it's crucial to understand that their need for space and moments of withdrawal are not a rejection of the relationship. For avoidance, intimacy can feel overwhelming, and they need time to process their feelings and maintain their sense of independence. When this happens, it's important to resist the temptation to withdraw or react negatively. Instead, maintain your emotional stability and trust that the space they need will ultimately allow them to return and engage when they feel ready. Feel ready. This patience shows them that you respect their boundaries while also nurturing the connection between you. Trust is a vital component in any relationship, but with an avoidant partner, it is especially important to build it slowly and intentionally. Avoidants have often learned to protect themselves emotionally to avoid the pain of rejection or vulnerability. Therefore, they are typically cautious about opening up and allowing themselves to be emotionally vulnerable. In loving them, you have to understand that their hesitancy to express emotions is not a sign of disinterest, but rather a defense mechanism developed over time. You can't rush them into vulnerability, but you can create a steady, safe environment in which they feel supported and accepted. By offering consistent and non-pressuring emotional support, you lay the foundation for trust to grow naturally over time. Creating an emotionally safe environment is critical when you're in a relationship with an avoidant. They need to feel secure enough to express themselves without fearing judgment or the potential loss of their independence. As a partner, you should respect their need for space and autonomy for still communicating your own emotional needs in a way that doesn't pressure them. This mutual respect Respecting their need for distance while also staying emotionally connected creates an environment where both partners can feel seen and heard. With time, this foundation allows them to feel comfortable coming closer and sharing their deeper emotions, leading to a more fulfilling connection. In the end, loving an avoidant requires embracing their unique way of expressing love, which may differ from your own, but is just as valid. It's about creating a space where both partners can be true to themselves without feeling judged or overwhelmed. The journey of building trust, maintaining emotional space, and offering steady support takes time, but the reward is a relationship that is deep, secure, and lasting. When both partners understand and respect each other's needs, especially the avoidance need for independence, the relationship becomes one that thrives on mutual care, care, respect, and patience. This is the type of love that grows stronger over time and is built on the foundation of understanding, not expectation. Loving someone with an avoidant attachment style can be an incredibly fulfilling experience, but it requires a unique level of patience, understanding, and respect. One of the biggest challenges is recognizing that avoidants may not express their love in the traditional ways we expect, such as through constant words of affection or physical closeness. Instead, they tend to show their love through practical gestures, like ensuring your needs are met, offering quiet support, or creating a stable environment. These expressions might not always be overt, but they are deeply meaningful and genuine. It's important to appreciate these subtle forms of affection and learn to recognize them for what they truly are, a profound, quiet dedication to the relationship. The dynamics of an avoidant relationship often involve a delicate dance of emotional distance and closeness. And this can feel confusing, especially when you experience moments of withdrawal or emotional retreat. However, it's crucial to understand their need for space is not an indication of a lack of love or commitment. For someone with an avoidant attachment style, intimacy can feel overwhelming, and they retreat to protect themselves from being too vulnerable. Rather than interpreting these moments of distance as rejection, it's important to see them as part of their process. Your role as a partner is to provide the space they need without taking it personally. Your ability to remain emotionally steady and supportive during these times will help them feel safe to come back when they're ready to engage. Building trust with an avoidant partner is a gradual process. Trust doesn't happen overnight, and it requires you to be patient as they navigate their own fears and reservations about emotional intimacy. Avoidants often struggle with vulnerability because they've learned to guard their emotions, to avoid being hurt. When you love someone with this attachment style, it's vital to offer them consistent emotional support without rushing them into revealing more than they are ready to share. Over time, as they begin to trust you more, they'll feel safer in opening up. This process takes time, but by being there for them without judgment, you create a foundation where trust can flourish. Creating an emotionally safe environment is crucial when in a relationship with with an avoidant. They need to feel secure enough to express themselves authentically without fearing judgment or rejection. This means respecting their need for independence and emotional space while also communicating your own needs clearly. When both partners feel that their emotional boundaries are respected, it fosters an environment where vulnerability can slowly develop. An avoidant partner will feel more comfortable sharing their feelings when they know they are in a safe, non-pressuring environment. As this emotional safety builds, the connection between you grows stronger and deeper. Ultimately, loving an avoidant is about embracing their unique way of expressing affection and learning to love them on their terms. It's not about trying to change them or forcing them to fit into an idealized version of what love should look like. Instead, it's about understanding their needs, respecting their boundaries, and patiently allowing the relationship to unfold naturally. With time, the love you share with an avoidant can grow into something deep and lasting, grounded in trust, mutual respect, and emotional safety. When both partners are willing to navigate the complexities together, offering space, understanding, and steady support, the relationship can become one that transcends typical expectations, leading to a connection that is truly unique and fulfilling. Loving someone with an avoidant attachment style can feel like a journey of discovery, where patience, empathy, understanding are your best tools. The first step is realizing that avoidants express their love differently than most people expect. They may not shower you with constant words of affirmation or overt affection. Instead, their love is often demonstrated through actions, whether it's offering practical support, being reliable, or quietly making sure you feel secure. These subtle gestures can sometimes be overlooked, but when you understand the meaning behind them, you'll recognize just how deeply they care. Their love is real and powerful, just expressed in a way that's less conventional, but equally sincere. What equally sincere? A key aspect of loving an avoidant is navigating the emotional push and pull that often defines these relationships. At times, an avoidant may pull away or seem distant, which can leave you feeling confused or unsure of their feelings. But it's important to understand that this withdrawal is not about rejecting you or the relationship. For someone with an avoidant attachment style, intimacy can trigger feelings of vulnerability or overwhelm, and their instinct is to retreat. Overwhelm, and their instinct is to retreat. Rather than taking this behavior personally, try to see it for what it is: a natural response to their fear of being engulfed emotionally. The more you can provide them with space without retreating emotionally yourself, the more likely they will feel safe enough to come back and engage when they're ready. Trust is a crucial element in any relationship, but especially when loving an avoidant. They've likely experienced past emotional wounds or have learned to protect themselves by keeping their feelings close. This means that earning their trust takes time. It's essential not to rush them or expect them to open up on your timeline. Instead, offer steady, non-pressuring emotional support and create a space where they feel safe and understood. Over time, as they begin to trust you and feel secure in the relationship, they will gradually feel more comfortable showing their deeper emotions. their deeper emotions. It's about creating a foundation of trust where vulnerability can develop naturally without forcing it. Creating emotional safety is paramount when you're in a relationship with an avoidant. They need to feel that they can be themselves without fear of losing their independence or being overwhelmed by emotional demands. This means respecting their need for space and giving them room to process their emotions, while also being clear about your own emotional needs. Communication is key here. Expressing your needs in a way that doesn't pressure them, while showing them that you're there for them without trying to change them. When both partners feel emotionally safe and respected, they're more likely to engage in the relationship and share their feelings in a way that's comfortable for both of them. In the end, loving someone with an avoidant attachment style is about accepting and embracing the way they express love, rather than expecting them to conform to traditional ideals of romance. Phooey. It's about building a relationship based on trust, understanding, and mutual respect. One where both partners can thrive while remaining true to themselves. While this journey may take patience and effort, the reward is a bond that grows deeper over time. You'll find that the more you learn to love an avoidant with empathy and respect, the more they will feel safe and open up in their own time, allowing the relationship to deepen and flourish. This kind of love, slow, steady, and built on a foundation of emotional safety, can be one of the most profound and enduring connections you'll ever experience. Loving someone with an avoidant attachment style can be one of the most profound and transformative experiences of your life. But it also presents its own unique set of challenges. The first challenge is understanding that avoidants may not express their love in the way most people are accustomed to. Instead of constant words of affirmation or physical affection, their love often shows up in quiet, consistent actions. They may not always vocalize their feelings, but they demonstrate care by being reliable, offering support in practical ways, or creating a stable environment. Recognizing these acts as expressions of love is crucial, as it helps you see how deeply they care even when their affection doesn't match conventional expectations. Their love may be understated, but it's no less meaningful than more overt expressions. The emotional dance of distance and closeness in relationships with avoidance can often feel confusing or unsettling. One moment, you might feel close and connected, and the next, you might experience a sense of emotional withdrawal. This back and forth can leave you wondering whether they truly care or whether you're being rejected. However, it's essential to understand that their emotional distance is not a reflection of their feelings for you, but rather a coping mechanism to maintain their independence and protect themselves from feeling overwhelmed. And loving an avoidant requires the ability to navigate this dynamic with patience and understanding. When they retreat, it's an opportunity to give them space without withdrawing yourself emotionally. By doing so, you create a safe environment for them to return to when they feel ready, without feeling pressured. Building trust with an avoidant is a gradual process, one that requires both partners to be patient and compassionate. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, but for someone with an avoidant attachment style, it often takes longer to develop. Avoidants are typically cautious about being vulnerable because they've learned to protect themselves from emotional pain. They may have experienced past wounds that make them wary of getting too close. As a partner, it's essential to show up consistently without forcing emotional intimacy. Offering unwavering emotional support without demanding immediate openness helps build the trust needed for deeper connection. Trust grows over time, and with patience, your avoidant partner will gradually feel more comfortable being vulnerable. Creating emotional safety is paramount when you're in a relationship with an avoidant, relationship with an avoidant. They need to feel that they can express themselves and engage emotionally without losing their sense of autonomy. In these relationships, respecting their need for space and independence is crucial. At the same time, it's important to communicate your own emotional needs clearly and with compassion. By creating a balance between giving them room to breathe and expressing your needs in a way that doesn't overwhelm them, you foster a relationship in which both partners can feel emotionally secure. Nay. This safety is the foundation for vulnerability, allowing the avoidant to gradually lower their walls and connect on a deeper level. Loving an avoidant is about accepting them as they are and embracing the way they show love. It's not about forcing them to express affection in ways that are outside their comfort zone, but about learning to recognize and appreciate their unique way of connecting. When you can provide them with emotional space, show consistent support, and patiently build trust, you create an environment where their love can flourish. This love may not come with grand gestures or constant declarations, but it's steady, sincere, and meaningful in its own quiet way. By understanding and respecting the avoidant's need for independence, you allow the relationship to grow into something deep and lasting, based on mutual respect, trust, and emotional safety. Over time, as both partners become more comfortable with each other's emotional needs, the bond becomes one that can weather any storm and grow stronger with each passing day. And vid i tårning